Picking up here in Matthew 2, we will start here in verse 7. Then Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, determined from them what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the young child. And when you have found him, bring back word to me, that I may come and worship him also." When they heard the king, they departed, and behold, the star which they had seen in the east had went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And then, being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed for their own country another way. Let's stop there for just a minute. There's a few things we're going to touch on. Um, so, one, from the last video back in verse 3 here, it says that Herod, when he heard this news, he was troubled. Okay. And so, in all of Jerusalem with him. Now, he's hearing the news that the star of the Lord, right, has been appeared. Um, and the reason he is troubled is because King Herod, we know from other manuscripts and historical texts that King Herod is a very paranoid king. Okay. He is extremely afraid that his kingship, his throne, is going to be overtaken. And he's going to lose control. And because of that, he actually had his wife killed and three of his sons killed. And so he is a very paranoid person. So why would you be scared? You know that, oh, the we know that the star of the Lord has appeared. Okay, this wouldn't scare you, right? If you were a faithful Jew, this would be a glorifying, wonderful moment. So of course, for him, just giving you some context there, that's why he was afraid, and so because he is very paranoid, um, and that plays a part too when he asks. So knowing that, you can read into this when he says. Um, he gleaned from them, determined when did the star appear. He is not just curious, like, oh, when did this happen? He is formulating a plan that we know is going to come to fruition here soon. What he's going to do about this child that has come because of his star, and so this is not good news. The poor wise men did not know, of the treacherous things that King Herod was about to command to be done. Otherwise, may they have changed their mind about how long the star had appeared. This is why Herod knew that there was two boys 2 years and younger, so he knew the timeline. And had the wise men known that this was going to happen, maybe they would have given a timeline of like, oh, 2 months, So then only the babies under 2 months of age would have been killed. But we know that, these things are predetermined, they happen for a purpose. But how horrifying it would be to have on your heart, um, to know that you gave King Herod the timeline and the approximate placement for him then to put out this command of these children. But we'll read into that in just a little bit here. It's just gathering some context and character mystics of the king and the time and place that's being served here. And um, so anyway, they heard the king, they went, and it says that the star again, appeared before them. Okay, and they'd seen it in the east until it came and stood over where the young child was. Remember, I described to you his star, his personal star. If you're looking at a star in the sky, for instance, you would not recognize that one star is over this house. That star would be over hundreds of houses, okay, if it was in the sky. This is how we know that the glory of this star was more a hovering presence, okay? And it said it came and stood over where the young child was, which means they were pointed directly to the home. They didn't go door to door for 100 houses, okay? They were pointed directly to the home where the child was, where Jesus was, okay? And so they came into the house. So now we know that, of course, some time has passed. They've clearly obtained housing. They are no longer in a cave, a barn. They are no longer homeless. So they are clearly in a home. So they came into the house. They saw the child with Mary's mother and they fell down and worshiped him. And why that's important is because um, even then, in the Jewish thought, okay, only God can be worshiped. That's it. And so you'll hear later that the apostles will tell people, because of the revelations that they give and the information they give, that people want to worship them, and they decline that very drastically. No, 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 don't worship me. Okay. And so worship only belongs to the Lord. And you will never see Jesus deny worship. And that's because he is the Lord. Okay. It would have been absolute blasphemy for him to allow people to worship him outside of his lordship. And so this is just another confirmation that we know that Jesus is God. Okay. And so this was allowed to happen. They worshiped him. They knew it was put upon their hearts. They knew, okay, that this was God that they were worshiping, of course, in the flesh of Jesus here. Okay. And so moving on to the gifts here of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Again, those are the three gifts presented. Why we get this common myth that there was only three wise men. And so, nor was the baby or the child was not a baby. So the wise men were not there at the time of Jesus's birth. And so he was more about 2 years old. He would have been a young toddler. Okay. And so I will leave some scriptures for reference in the comments below. However, just as a reference here, so the gold would have represented his kingship. So that's the purpose of the gold that's found in Kings 10:10. Okay, um, ironically. Okay, and then frankincense would have represented his priesthood. Okay, that he is God. Okay, and that's going to be found in Leviticus 2:2. And then myrrh is actually a symbol of death. So you wouldn't bring myrrh to congratulate a newborn baby, right? This is typology. This is, revelation here that myrrh is given this baby. Again, we learned this baby was born to die. We know that he is our salvation. And so we know that he is sacrificed. Um, and so that is the gift of myrrh. And you're going to find that in Exodus 30:23. And again, I will list those below. So that's where we get this common idea that there are three wise men, not kings. Remember, regardless of some of the tales that you'll hear and some of the pictures and depictions of the nativity scene, they are not kings, they are wise men. They worshiped him. And then, of course, we're told they were divinely warned in a dream. So now they know that the information that they just gave the king, now they know the destruction the king has in mind for that information. And that's what I was talking about, the heaviness that would have been placed on their heart to know that they gave this information. It is up to no fault of their own. I'm just saying from the humanity aspect of it, that would have been horrifying to know that the king didn't actually want to worship. And so it says now in verse 2:13 here, now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise, take the young child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I bring you word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, saying, out of Egypt I called my son. There's a few things happening here. Number one, remember the economical status of Joseph and Mary. They are poor. Okay, but not only are they listening and following the command and direction of the Lord to get up, take your whole family and leave, right? And so they flee in the night, and that's obviously so they are not seen with the child. Okay, they're fleeing by night, and it is only in God's perfect timing that these wise men just showed up, giving gifts of gold, right, and things of value, frankincense. So, but especially the gold. And so this would have provided means for Joseph to provide for his family while living in Egypt, right? This isn't the modern world. We don't just pick up and go start a business somewhere in another country and be able to provide, right? He is fleeing in the middle of the night with nothing but what he owns on his back and his baby and his wife. And so he was just given these gifts, right, that will provide for him. And so God provides. He didn't just ask him to just trust him, and even though Joseph did that, okay, God provided a way for Joseph, okay? And there's some more typology here. Okay, we're going to see Egypt come up a few times, just underlining that here in my Bible, in Scripture, in the sense that, okay, so Joseph and Mary are protecting their baby in Egypt, right? And so who else was somebody we know that was protected by his parents in Egypt, right? It's going to be Moses, okay? And so and Moses led God's people out of Egypt, okay? And so and then we're told here, in verse 15, out of Egypt I called my son, okay, which is of Old Testament prophecy there, okay. So this is being fulfilled, that Jesus is being protected in Egypt. And so out of Egypt I called my son. Jesus is not Egyptian, right? But they fled there and sought protection, in the within the walls of Egypt. And so that is what we are getting information from. So we will stop there for the moment, and we'll pick back up in 16.